Welcome to the Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast, a show created to help painting company owners build a thriving painting business that does well over $1 million in annual revenue. I'm your host, Brandon Pierpont, founder of Painter Marketing Pros and creator of the popular PCA educational series, Learn, Do, Grow, Marketing for Painters. In each episode, I'll be sharing proven tips, strategies, and processes from leading experts in the industry on how they found success in their painting business. We will be interviewing owners of the most successful painting companies in North America and learning from their experiences. In this episode of the Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast, we host guest Loraine Sanchez. Loraine is the owner of Lime Painting of San Antonio, a residential and commercial painting company out of San Antonio, Texas. Prior to entering the franchising world, Loraine held several management positions in call centers, program and project management, as well as various marketing positions. Loraine prides herself in helping San Antonio residents fall in love with their homes again by carrying out the Lime Painting values of love, integrity, mission, and excellence. If you want to ask Loraine questions related to anything in this podcast series, you can do so on our exclusive Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast forum on Facebook. Just search for Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast forum on Facebook and request to join the group. Or type in the URL, facebook.com/groups/Painter Marketing Mastermind. Again, that URL is facebook.com/groups/Painter Marketing Mastermind. There you can ask Loraine questions directly by tagging her with your question so you can see how anything discussed here applies to your particular painting company. What's going on, Loraine?
Hi. Excited
to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, very, very excited. So gave a brief introduction there, but if you could tell a little bit more about your company, your background, how you entered the painting space, just kind of what you want everyone to know.
Yeah. So started lime painting here in San Antonio 2 years ago. My background was spent about 20 years at AT&T, mainly in marketing. So a lot of marketing strategy.
You're a dirty marketer. I'm one of those. I get it.
That's what I did. Yes, I did. I did
So you grow
direct mail marketing and email marketing and commercials. I did DRTV. So of course at AT&T the budget was much, much larger than we have here.
Your budget's not the same as AT&T's?
No. I don't know why, but one day maybe, Brandon.
that would be neat.
That would. But yeah, so that's where I was in a leadership program there as well. So I got to do different things, project management and finance, and so it was great, a good spend. And and then I was laid off. So I got that layoff notice, and it was interesting at the time when I was looking for what my next adventure would be. My daughter was senior in high school, and so I asked the question, "What what do you want to do? What do you want to study?" And she said, "I have no idea." Because I'm scared that whatever I choose, I'm going to have to do for the rest of my life. And then look what happened to you. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's what she saw. And that was the impression that I had given her. My husband's also been in the same company for all of her life. So that's what she saw. And that's when I decided to stop looking in another company for another corporate job and reinvent myself, because I told her, you can reinvent yourself. You're your generation completely reinvents themselves all the time. You can do it. And she just wasn't certain about that. So I decided to reinvent myself, Brandon, and here I am. I found
Mama's leading from the front.
Yeah,
I love it.
So
that's a passionate. I mean, that's a heck of a why right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So so I found Lime Painting. Lime Painting is a franchise, and like as you mentioned, the values, Lime standing for love, integrity, mission, and excellence. I just thought, wow, that's something that, sets in line with what I feel and what I'd love to give. And I had also had someone who had recently come and done some work for me in my home, and it was two contractors, one that came and did drywall work, texture, and it was really, really, really bad texture everywhere, didn't cover, didn't prep. And then the painter came and followed because I got the first contractor to move aside, and so hired another paint contractor, and he did such a beautiful job, just a beautiful job, beautiful prep, and I felt so good that I thought that's what I want to have, and that's the feeling that I'd love to give my customers. So it aligned, and I've been very happy with the decision I made. As you know, it's tough, right? Owning your own business is
Yeah.
tough. It's definitely not like the corporate world where we can close the computer at 5 o'clock and then not think about it anymore. But I'm very happy with the decision I made, and and here I am.
Man,
It's
that's
been great.
exciting. So what year did you get laid off from AT&T?
It was right before COVID, so it was 2019.
Okay. And your husband, you said, still works at AT&T?
No, he works in corporate America as well, but he's at
Okay, got
Spectrum.
it.
Yeah.
So he's at Spectrum, you're at AT&T.
Yeah.
He was like those communication companies a lot.
Yeah, we were,
Yeah,
yeah,
love them.
always, yeah,
Yeah.
always at opposite ends.
And so you got laid off. Your daughter then approached you, concerned about what to study, concerned that
Right.
she'd be locked into the rest of her life. You wanted to convince her that she can be flexible, stand on her own 2 feet, not be afraid. And you had an opportunity arise in your life where you could essentially prove it to her.
Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome.
that's right. That's right. It was great, and you just it's something that triggered that you just said too. My father also instilled in me to be independent, to go and do what I wanted to do, and he put a hammer in my hand when I was young, and I learned how to change my own tires, my own oil, because he said you can be independent and do whatever you want to do, and you don't have to depend on anyone. So I also did projects for him when he was sick with cancer. He had a skin cancer, and I wanted the space to be nice for him, so I stayed up late nights while I was getting my MBA to help him out. And I think that those values that he instilled in me is also something I wanted to make sure I was transferring to my children as well.
Yeah.
That they can, and anyone can, and our young generation is bright, and they're super capable of going out there and doing whatever they want to do. So
Yeah. And the why, as you mentioned, starting a business, owning your own company is not easy. So the why is really important. And a lot of times that why does come down to family, either providing for a better lifestyle or in your case, showing what's possible,
mm,
leading from the front, being the example, uh,
mhm.
which is great. I think it's something people don't always contemplate. Maybe they know it, but they haven't really verbalized it or potentially
Right,
even written it down. And I think
right.
when the going gets tough and things get pretty rocky, having that solidified can really be helpful.
Yes. It's what makes me go every day. I'm excited to wake up in the morning and do what I do, because I know that, it's a continuous, it's continuous, ebbs and flows in a business, but you want to keep pushing forward for growth. And so I'm excited. I really love what I do,
That's
and
wonderful.
the why is what keeps me going.
Yeah, 100%. So you launched this company then in 2022, 2021,
2022.
2022. What were some of the challenges that you faced early on?
Well, um,
Long list.
Yeah, Brandon. So it was the timing was not ideal. When I launched the business, the same month my mother went in to get open heart surgery, and that went very, very bad. And so
Sorry
she
to hear
was
that.
in, thank you, she was in ICU for a month. And so as I had tried to launch the business, she was in another city. She was in Dallas. I was in San Antonio. She was in the hospital there. And trying to um, be there for her and launch the business was difficult. It was really, really difficult. And then she subsequently passed away in May, or on Mother's Day. And so then there's all the emotions that come with what it takes to build a business, to own a business, to wear all the hats in a business, plus the grief that I was feeling of having lost my mom. So it was that first year was a mountain of struggles, trying to keep um, trying to keep the our employees, trying to just retention, keeping customers, continuing to get revenue, the growth, and wearing all the hats, learning how to be a business owner, right?
Sure.
Coming from the corporate America hat, where you have one hat you're wearing, you know everything about this one thing that you do, versus having to know about a plethora of areas in your business, right? To try to keep the business moving. So it was that the emotional, the trying to figure out how to be a business owner. Um, but I can say that I had a good system with Line Painting Corporate to lean on. So leaning on them was helpful. And then I found that you really, so first year was did not look good. It was rough. And I contemplated, do I just close the doors and just, maybe this wasn't for me? But of course that why was still there, and how could I can't fail, right?
You're the
And
first
then
entrepreneur ever to think about quitting. No one ever thinks about that.
yeah. And then of course I kept saying, I don't want to be a statistic. I am not going to be a statistic. The statistic that 85% of businesses close their
Yeah.
doors the first year. I said, I'm just not going to be that. I'm going to push through and things will look better. Well, I pushed through, and then second year it was amazing. It was wonderful. Found the right team. Um, it was uh, it was just, everything started to fall in place. You give yourself time to establish your brand in the market, and that helps. Surround yourself with good people that support you, that lift you, and I did that by joining business groups, right? Business networking
Sure.
groups, having meetings with other of my friend business owners and asking them, what do I do? And leaning on them and crying with them when I just wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. So it was a little bit of all of that. But then once I found, and the other thing, Brandon, is I love my customers. I do. I love my customers. And as frou-frou as that sounds, I think that it's important for a business owner to recognize that if they do, then they're going to do the best for their customers, and their customers are going to recognize that, and then they get referrals. So I loved my customers, and I didn't want to as well, just kind of bail, because I told them that I would be around. And I think having the right people was there, and then of course having the right processes. So putting the right processes in place so that you could continue the growth is really important. So
Yeah, I think that idea of loving your customers and you doing a better job and probably enjoying your life and your business more as a result of it's really important. Right. So
yeah,
prior to Painter Marketing Pros, I actually ran a generalist agency. We worked with a lot of niches, one of which was lawyers. I don't work with lawyers anymore. It's really important to like your customers, right? Makes your
very
life a
nice.
lot more enjoyable.
Yes,
Um,
it does.
so one of the things I want to talk about with you, especially given that your big motivator was showing your daughter what's possible, removing that fear, increasing her sense of independence and ability in her life. You are in the trades, right? Trades is heavily male dominated. I know that you were given a hammer, when you were young by your dad and did projects around the house, but you're still operating in a largely male dominated industry. How has that been for you?
It's interesting. It's definitely interesting, and that was another reason that I wanted to do this, is because it was also going to be an additional challenge, right? Not just that it was I was entering into just any industry that might be easy, but I was giving myself an additional challenge of entering into a male dominated industry. Um, to to be able to um, show at the beginning, show customers that I I was that I knew what I was talking about, that I wasn't just that I wasn't just there. So I had a customer, for instance, and it was really interesting. This was one of my first in my first year, and gentlemen, and it was right after my mother passed away, and then this my my employee also left, so I was alone. And I went to do an estimate for a customer, and I said, "Hey, I need somebody else. I'd like somebody else." And this was before I think even Brandon, felt like um, that I dominated. Right, my confidence level was still not the
Sure.
utmost, right? I had just started, right? So I kind of wanted a buddy. So I called my Sherwin-Williams rep and I said, "Can you just go with me, please? Just go be by my side." And he said, "Yeah, yeah, absolutely, not a problem."
What a great
So
rep.
yeah, he was awesome. He is awesome. Joe Seeley, he's the best. So I took him with me. and and the entire time we're there, the customer
Talking to Joe.
talks to him,
Yeah.
yes, doesn't even make eye contact with me,
Yeah.
continually talking to him. And Joe is funny, he keeps saying, "Well, that's her decision." He
Hint,
keeps trying
hint,
to
another hint.
redirecting. Well, she's the one who's going to do the work, so yeah, you should ask her. And
I don't work for this company. I'm just here.
so it was really funny. "So what do y'all do?" He would say to him. "What?" So she's the one that, and so it was just really, it was interesting, but but it didn't bother me. I I just took it. I rolled with it, and so I think that this is a male dominated industry, but I think as a female, I have found that there is some things that we can offer. Many of our customers are female.
Sure.
And so I think females um, sometimes trust that there's another female, and we can, we can win that trust, because we're inside the customers' homes, we're on their properties, we're mixed up with their pets and their kids, and
Yeah.
so winning that trust is really important. So I found that I think we can do that. We are good at establishing the trust with the customer, and uh, the attention to detail that a female has sometimes is not always, it's pretty, it's good. And I think other females and men who are also very much pay attention to detail appreciate that. So
Sure.
I think learning what it is that we can offer, or what I could offer the painting industry, is what has helped me grow and has given me the confidence that I belong here,
Yeah.
and it's a good place for me to be.
I have a couple questions for you.
Yes, sir,
Number one,
please.
and this is, I love running the podcast because I can ask the questions. So if if I listen to this and I want to know something, 50-50 whether the podcast interviewer asks it, but I get to ask whatever I want.
That's right.
Did you close that project? Did you land that sale?
Yes, sir, I did.
You did. Very cool. That would have haunted me. I wanted to know. And
I
then
did.
not super relevant in the grand scheme. I just wanted to know.
But let me
How was
tell.
the customer?
Oh my gosh. Afterwards. So of course, the cost was an issue. But it was so interesting that we did it on a weekend, because it was a commercial project, and they wanted us to do it when the clients weren't there.
Sure.
So we did it on a weekend. And he walked in, and we were there working, and he walks in and he says, "Whoa, oh my gosh." and
Where's
we
Joe?
looked at him.
Just kidding.
We looked at him and said, "What?" He said, I didn't, I don't think I realized the amount of work that it takes to paint.
Hmm.
Um, uh, because we were painting the ceilings. It was two drastic colors of ceilings from the walls, and so we were covering up this big commercial space walls so that we could do the ceilings. Um, and so he said, and so it looked like this huge, it was all covered in plastic from the top to the bottom. And he said, I don't think I realized how much work it took to paint. I really thought it was you just wet the roller
Like art
and you
class.
roll it on.
Yeah.
And he said, this is great. So yeah, he was a big advocate, has referred more customers to me, and he's become a great customer.
That's great. So
Yeah.
you went on this estimate. It was your first or one of your first estimates. Joe came along, despite repeated attempts by Joe to point the conversation your way, didn't really end up happening. So you rolled with it. You were okay with it, right? It's not great, but you understand, okay, this is where we're at. How do you then leave something like that and build the confidence that, hey, I'm going to go out and do it on my own without Joe, and I'm going to succeed? Because an experience like that would kind of be jarring for most people.
Mhm. It's going back to that why, right?
Mm.
It was going back to the why, because I had decided to enter a male-dominated field and prove to my daughter that it could be done. So I think that um, it was sad. Yes, I was disappointed, but I just went back to, it's okay. It's not okay, but you shrug it off.
Yep.
You kind of reset. You remember what it is that you're doing there, and you say, I'm going to prove that this is my space.
Yep.
And you don't see it now. You may not see it now, but you'll see it later. And it's
Yeah.
okay that you don't recognize it right now. Not everybody is on the same explain. Not everybody sees what it is I can give. And so, and there are people out there, and Brandon, and you do this, so you talk to many painters. There are people in this in, in this in painting that we know we've got the best solution for the customer. We know that we've got the highest quality. We know that we're going to do the best job, and they choose not to go with us uh, for whatever reason, price or whatever. Um, and sometimes that really bothers me because I feel like I didn't convince them, right? But um, I think it's recognizing they just don't recognize it, and it's okay. Not everyone does. We're not going to win them all. There's enough for everybody, and that's all okay. Um, but it's going back to your why and recognizing that people think differently, and that's
Sure.
okay.
Yeah, so I think you put it well. It's not okay that it happened, but it's something that you decided you're not going to let deter you, right? You're
Right.
still going to succeed because things that are not okay happen in the world.
Yeah.
The another interesting point that I want to focus on right there is your focus on sales, really, right? So you're talking with a customer, potential customer, that you are the best option. You know that you're convinced of that, right? You know you care. You give it. You really care about how the job's going to go, right? And you know you're going to go in there produce quality. If you say you're going to produce quality, quite honestly, it doesn't mean anything because everybody says they're going to produce quality. Nobody's like, hey,
Right.
you know what? We're going to do an okay job. The materials we're used, they're not going to be the best, but they're not the worst.
That's right.
Here, sign here, right? It's always,
Right.
hey, highs, we have quality work, we have great customer service, we use quality materials. So that basically means nothing. And when you don't land that customer, you feel bad because you almost feel like you did a disservice to them, even though they're the ones
Mhm.
who chose not to listen to you. And I think that's effective sales mindset, right? If you
Mhm.
have a product you truly believe in, then it
Mhm.
is your duty really to the market to effectively market
Mhm.
that product and then to effectively remove objections to sell so that you can allow naturally skeptical prospective customers to get out of their own way and ultimately move forward. Because if you do not convince them, if you do not A, find them by doing effective marketing, and then B, convince them to move forward with you by demonstrating enough value more than what you're asking for the price, then what you do is you leave them to any Joe Schmo, any Chuck in the truck who rolls up, and now you've essentially abandoned them. So I
Mhm.
think it's a big sales and marketing shift because people think marketing, I made the joke about dirty marketer. People think marketing is bad, right? Or sales
Mhm.
is slimy. But if you
Mhm.
actually believe in your product, you are doing a disservice to people if you do not find them or you do not make it so that they find you and you do not remove their objections so that they can safely proceed with the company that's going to treat them well.
That's
So I'm glad you brought that
absolutely
up.
right, Brandon. That's absolutely right. And I do want to say that I've grown into that. So I can't say that when my day one I launched this business, I was woohoo gung ho. This is
Yeah.
the way it is. I think I had to learn that on my own, right? I grew into that mindset because when I did marketing for AT&T, I did marketing. That's what I did. I knew what I was. I had a task.
Right.
That was a task for me to do. Did I really know my customers? No. I there was hundreds of thousands of people that I was marketing to. I didn't know them, but I did know that it was important to love your customers, even when I was in marketing there. So I did what I could to implement that love of your customer when I was there. But I think that all goes back to what you just said is if it's true that effective marketing is important when you love your customer, you know that you're going to be the best option for them because you're giving them what they need, right?
Yeah.
And so I think how passionate you are about what you do is important.
I love it. So let's switch gears here a little bit. I know that you recently spoke at the International Franchise Association's 2024 annual convention. One of the things that you spoke on was diversity in the workplace. As a Latina woman, you've noticed there's not necessarily enough support within the industry. So we've talked a little bit about female empowerment within the trades, the obstacles faced. Let's talk about diversity in that sense as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's really important to have a diverse group because in order to move forward, you have to have a diverse mindset on your team. You can't all think the same. And if you do, then you're all going the same direction and you're going to go slow. We're in an ever-changing world. And in order to be able um, to move quickly with that ever-changing world, you have to have diversity. And so I have a diverse team right now. It's funny that my team now, and it was not really by by doing, it's just kind of by accident. But right now I have my two sales members are female. Um, uh, and then I have a marketing admin who is also female. And so they are wonderful. We work well together. They are younger, but I did, and it was something that I talked about at the International Franchises Association conference, leadership conference. I interviewed a gentleman. A gentleman came to me asking for a job, and he was 73. And my initial my initial mindset was, oh, 73. Can he keep up? We're out there canvassing, we're out there checking on jobs. There's a lot of walking, it's the heat. And I thought, oh goodness, well, and he was persistent. And I thought, okay, that persistence, it accounts for something. So let me talk to him. Wow, Brandon, when I sat down with him, he had the energy level of, like, like double the energy level of the 21-year-olds that I was interviewing. And the experience was there. And he was just yeah, he was great, like a wonderful candidate. And I wanted to bring him on, but he got another job offer somewhere else that worked out better for him and his family, so he went that direction. But it made me realize that sometimes we our own biases can hinder us, right? We just have to be aware of those biases, and so that they don't get in the way of us trying to create a diverse team. So I'm growing. I'm learning, and I'm hopeful to continue to grow my team with more diversity. But excited that this is my very first all-female team that I have right now. And we've done great. There's a lot of cohesion and collaboration. So and they understand not only my why, but they have whys as well. And I do want to bring this up, and I know this is a little bit different, but we lead our meetings with our values every time in our weekly meetings. And what we do is share where we saw someone else demonstrate those values. And I think that's really important to do for anyone who's starting a business who wants retain their customers, retain their employees, and have that growth mindset within your employees as well. When everyone understands what your core values are, and you're all aligned, then it just creates a lot more cohesion.
So you guys, I want to make sure I fully understand this. You have meetings. Is this each morning?
We meet daily, but when we do this is in our
Weekly.
full meeting. Yeah.
And then you guys are finding someone else in the team who has demonstrated a core value
Mhm.
over the
The
past
love,
week.
integrity, mission, and excellence, right?
And that's neat. Yeah, that's neat. And I think your focus on having diversity brings different perspectives, allows you to be more creative. And then having those values that you don't just write down, think about, brainstorm, list them, and then forget them, but you actually integrate them every single week in a very hands-on way, ensures that as you bring in people who might have diverse backgrounds and experiences, that you can harness that while also not having the train essentially go off the tracks because everyone's lining up behind the same value system.
Right. Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to, so you have two female salespeople right now, two female estimators. Okay. And then, going back to the initial challenge that you faced, and now you say you think maybe it's a strength, right? Because a lot of the people you're interacting with are women, and you're going inside the homes, and it's very personal. I have heard both ways, and I think some of it might be head trash. But I've heard from some women who have gone out and conducted sales that, oh, it's a disadvantage, right? They, even when you're talking with a woman, they might like you or trust you more, but they think you don't know what you're doing. And then I've heard the other way, which is more what you just said, which is, well, you can really connect. They think, you can lead with empathy a little bit more easily. They trust you more around the kids and whatnot. So it's a huge strength. Do you think that both those things are likely to be true? I mean, you can't give me a definitive answer here because you don't know even who I'm talking about, but do you think those things are likely to both be true? Or do you think it's more a mental limitation? Or how do you view that?
So yes and yes. Yes, it's very
Yes, yes.
likely to be. Yes and yes. It's very likely to be true. Yes, because there are people out there, and it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're just going to come in with that bias that
Yep.
you're a female and you don't know. And so there's nothing you can do when they have that bias, and you then, as someone who does know your space, and you are a leader, you're confident, then you try to to show them that but if they go into that conversation with a bias, then it really sometimes doesn't matter what you say, right? But that happens with anything. I mean,
Sure.
it happens with anything and with everything. People have biases, and so there's only so much we can do about someone's bias, and we can't always change that, but we can do the best we can to demonstrate to them that we do know the space and we do know what we're talking about. So um, that's the wonderful thing I think my team has, is they're confident. They know
Sure.
they know the space, and they know, they go in there, and yeah, they influence, and they try to influence the customers to demonstrate to them that they are, what am I thinking, experts in the area.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, there is no getting around it, but you probably dodging a bullet anyways, right? Because
Yeah,
we have some people come in and they start telling us about how marketing works, right? How
yeah,
this is what works.
yeah,
Okay, great. Like, go do it, right?
exactly,
We're maybe not the right fit. So I think if
exactly.
somebody comes in and says, well, you're a female, clearly you don't know this. Um, awesome. You're probably going to be a more difficult to please customer. You're likely to find an issue because you know everything. You know so much that you know that half the world's incapable of actually understanding this. You
Exactly.
know, you must know more than we do. Probably
Yes.
not a fit for us anyways.
Exactly. Yeah. Not everyone is our customer. Not everyone is the right customer for us, which is okay. And that's something I've also had to learn.
It's a struggle, right?
Yeah, it is.
It
It is
feels
because
like
I
something's wrong on your end, or they should, you have to accept that you are not
yeah,
the right fit for everybody.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. You want at the beginning of opening your business, you want to please everyone. And if you feel that you're a failure if you don't. And it just, it comes with growth and knowing that, like you said, we're just not the right fit for everyone, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all okay.
So going with this, loving your customers, it's important. It motivates you. You know, it's going to obviously make your quality of your service offering be better. How do you maintain that when you have some customers who make it hard to love them, right? Maybe there's someone who leaves you a scathing review and it really wasn't justified, right? We see that happen sometimes. Maybe a customer is happy and something happens later, months after the painting company leaves, really wasn't related, and all of a sudden that 5-star review becomes a one. Or you get sued, right? This happens. We've interacted with painting companies, they get sued, and maybe it was justified, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you happen to cross a crazy person's path. How do you not let something like that sway you away from loving all your customers?
So I have another story. It's okay. I can tell
Let's
another
do it.
story.
Please. I love these stories.
So it was a commercial, um, and we were repainting. So the estimator underestimated. We were doing lime wash on all of their interior walls, um, and I was very excited about doing this job, and it looked amazing. And so there was the owner, and then there was the owner's father, and that were kind of working with us, and the owner never never said anything, just would kind of walk by and look and just walk away, right? Which was, it was just odd because we were I was thinking we were just rocking it. We
Rushing
this
this
is
thing. Yeah.
this is beautiful. Oh my gosh. And then the father came in and he said, "Oh my gosh, this looks amazing, guys." And he said, "I'm sorry that um, I'm sorry that my daughter isn't expressing." And he wasn't there when she wasn't expressing, but he knew her. And he said, "I'm sorry she wasn't expressing. I'm sure she wasn't expressing, but I want you to know you guys are doing an amazing job." And I thought, "Oh, okay, that's really nice. Okay, let's keep going." So that just filled our cup again, and we kept going, kept going, kept going. And then there was in the end, a small area that was kind of a hidden area, and the owner, said, "Just paint it any color. Doesn't matter because it's an area that nobody sees. It's kind of where your feet, the kick area, right under the desk." And so, okay, I did. I said, "Okay, well then we'll pick a color that's kind of matches." And so I painted an area and said, "Hey, does this work?" And she said, "Yeah, yeah, that's fine." So I finished painting it. And then the next day she said, "Why did you paint it that color?" And I said, "This is the one that I showed you, remember?" She said, "Yeah, but there was not a lot of light. So why would you even pick that color? That's horrible. It doesn't even go." And I thought, oh my goodness. So again, I go back to that. It was underbid. So we really were working our tails off for something that, we weren't going to get paid a lot for, but we were super proud of it because we just thought it was pristine. It was looking incredibly beautiful. And this was the very last piece of the job. And this turned her off completely. And she said, yeah, you just get out. I just don't want to see you
Wow.
anymore. And that, Brandon, broke my heart. It did, because we poured ourselves, heart and soul, into that area. And I know she loves it because she's an influencer, and so she showcases her walls often, and, and so I know she loves it. I know she loves the walls, but never once said that she was happy with it, and just was mad about that one area. And I went in and I said, okay, I'll repaint it for you, whatever color you want. That's fine. You just tell me what color. But because I had said you already chose it, she did not like that response. And so, of course, I beat myself up for having said, well, that's the color you chose, instead of saying, what color would you like? And I think I spent that, it probably took full 2 to 3 days for me to get out of my head that that customer was just going to be like that, and that there was nothing that I was going to be able to say or do. And that made me realize that there are those customers out there, um, and and that we can't beat ourselves up about it, because we're not always going to be perfect. We're not always going to say the right thing for the customer, or not always. We mess up, and it's okay. And we need to give ourselves that grace to mess up.
Sure.
And we need to just move on, because we're not going to please everyone all the time. But I still love all my customers, because they're they are the ones that I choose,
Yep.
right? We choose them. So yeah, it's
It's
so
an excellent, yeah, no, it's an excellent point. You choose your customers, you ultimately choose the business that you run. That's
yeah,
part of what makes entrepreneurship difficult. There's no one else really to blame.
right,
We could all, if we don't like our company, well, we don't have to keep doing it.
yeah,
Right? We can't just
exactly.
complain about the mean boss.
That's
W-
right.
We are the mean boss. So
That is right.
right, not the main boss, but we're the boss. So then
Right.
I I um I actually work with my team on things like that. Right. So when someone says, hey, use this color, or hey, I'm okay with this, or please do that, and then you do it, and then it comes back and there's something negative, right? The natural reaction is, but you said to
Yeah.
do this, or but we talked
Yeah.
about this,
Yeah.
right? But I find the best way to handle it, and I'm not telling you, Loraine, I'm just saying it for the podcast. The best way to handle situations like that is to, in your mind, get on the same side of the table as that person, right? Because
Yes.
as soon as you say, but you chose this color, that was, she was going to be a difficult customer. You were probably never going to get a glowing review out of that project. That's who she was.
Right.
But you sort of gave her something to push on, right? Because you said, but
Yes.
you chose it. Well, now it's like, it's
Yes.
true. It's a fact. It's ridiculous what she did. But you're kind of like pointing a finger, I view it as like you're putting up a rock and she can now push on it.
Yeah.
So instead, in that situation, if you say, hey, flip around, I'm on the same side of the table as you. Um, you know what? I can see that. I can see it doesn't entirely match. Yeah, maybe we should have done a different color. I remember you and I talked about this and we thought it was a good fit. Now with the lighting, it seems like maybe it's not. What do you think would be a good solution here? Right? Because
Exactly.
now it's like we talked about it. I remember you and I, we talked about this. We thought it would be a good fit. Now in the light, it seems like maybe it's not the best fit. How do you think we should proceed?
Yeah.
Right. So
Exactly.
that's what I find with really difficult customers. But then I also take a mental note, like, okay, we probably have a problem here. Because
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
person is just going to be another thing and another thing. So you can try to like avoid explosions, but also like, you know, certain people are that way.
Yeah, yeah. No, I learned on that, Brandon, about the butts. And yeah, I like I said, I beat myself up for a few days just thinking,
Another joy of entrepreneurship,
why did I do
self-flagellation.
that? Why? Exactly.
It's my
But
fault. I
you
ruined it.
I ruined it. She's all I did it. So but
Because you
like
care.
yeah, I do. I do a
You care
whole lot.
tremendously.
I do a whole lot. So, but I learned. And like I said, we make mistakes. We learn from them. As long as we learn from the mistakes, we grow from it, and we move on.
Yeah. And I think as you have to almost develop a short-term memory as an entrepreneur. You have to have a long-term memory in the sense that you take away the lesson like you did.
Mhm.
Like, okay, what did I do wrong? Okay, let me figure out how to better handle, how to, I guess, be more tactical, be more strategic in exactly the words that I use.
Right.
But then you have to kind of forget to, right?
Yeah.
Like take away the learning and then just the pain, the emotion of it. You just got to throw that out because otherwise it's just going to drown you if you just carry all that stuff with you.
Because you get stuck. You get stuck in the sludge of the
Yep.
emotion. Yeah.
And negatives,
Yeah.
they tend to hang on a lot longer than positives if you let them.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Because you had a positive with the dad, right?
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
sticking with you for those several days was the negative.
Was her. Yes, that negative. Right. Exactly. The dad was thrilled, and we were thrilled. We knew we had done a beautiful job, but I did not want to leave a customer not happy, and
Sure.
so that broke my heart. But I'll say another thing that helped me in that time is having that support system. So calling fellow business owners who were my
Mm.
friends and saying, wow, this happened to me.
It
and
seems like
and
such a big deal when you're early on in your entrepreneurial career. And then they're like, you talk to someone who's been in it for 10 years, like, why are you calling me about this?
yeah, they're like, hey, these are going to happen to you. I promise this is not the only time this will ever happen.
Here's the secret. It's going to be worse than that. Worse things are going to happen to you.
Exactly. It's just gonna, so it was that kind of, the help, the support, the reinforcement that you didn't do wrong. You're
Yeah.
okay. You're fine. You're fine. Just keep going. So,
That support is so huge. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of painting companies make that mistake where they don't go, it's something you have to be proactive about, right? I'm very passionate about the Painting Contractors Association, about joining that, tapping into that community. There are local gathering groups in each state that we're growing right now, but also, like you said, Chamber of Commerce, things like that, right? BNI. Just even just, can you connect with friends? We have friends that we have intentionally made that are business owners, because then it just makes this journey a lot less lonely and a whole lot easier. And actually you do a lot better because they tend to have good advice.
right, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I love it. Loraine,
Yes.
as we come to the conclusion of this episode, I've really enjoyed it. It's been awesome. I like your stories. Is there anything else that you want to share?
No, think I think just to your audience, just keep going. We don't fail until we give up.
Yeah.
So just keep going and believe in yourself. It will happen, and work together. Collaborate with other business owners, collaborate with other painters, like you said. There's enough work for everybody. So it's great when you're able to collaborate with other painters, other business owners, and just lean on each other to help you grow. And there are those that lift you up. So lean on others, and don't give up.
Absolutely. And my mantra for years was, the only way I fail is if I quit, and I will not quit. If you
That's
keep
right.
that in mind, you will succeed, because it's
That's right.
statistically impossible for you not to.
That's right. I just can't. I can't.
Yeah. Loraine, this was a treat. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. It was wonderful being here. I appreciate you and appreciate you doing this.
Absolutely. If you want to learn more about the topics we discussed in this podcast and how you can use them to grow your painting business, visit paintermarketingpros.com/podcast for free training, as well as the ability to schedule a personalized strategy session for your painting company. Again, that URL is paintermarketingpros.com/podcast. Hey there, painting company owners. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us your feedback. Let us know how we did. And also, if you're interested in taking your painting business to the next level, make sure you visit the Painter Marketing Pros website at paintermarketingpros.com to learn more about our services. You can also reach out to me directly by emailing me at brandon@paintermarketingpros.com, and I can give you personalized advice on growing your painting business. Until next time, keep growing.